Today I'm going to take about 5 minutes of your time to talk about World Championship cards. So we know that World Championship cards are like the pinnacle. So going into this, I'm going to say like, hey, World Championship cards, got a lot of respect for them. I'm not here to diss WCPS prize cards or the extras, right? The extras, the promos, whatever you want to call them. I think even the promos are awesome cards to own. I want to make sure that we're not conflating two things here, though, right? Prize cards are prizes, right? They're given to winners of tournaments. Some of these prize cards are hard to, of all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Prize cards, we say like SJCS, YCSW, national tournaments from like way before, T2, T1, T0, T3, like all of these cards, right? Like they're hard to determine like which one was the prize and which one was not. WCPS cards, like it is not hard to determine which ones are prizes and which ones are not. It's not, right? So when people conflate these two things, right? Like, well, what about everything else? Like the whataboutisms don't work on me. It's a logical fallacy, and it's like, oh well, I don't want to talk about the thing you're talking about. What about everything else? Like, let's talk about the thing that I want to talk about for 5 minutes. WCPS prize cards come in a sealed case. All of them come in a sealed case except for 2016. All right, all of them. Every single one that was ever released has always come in a sealed lucite case that you cannot open. The black cases, even if you could open them, there are no extras for those prizes. So it doesn't matter. Those are irrelevant. Even if you could open the black ones, it doesn't matter because there are no extras of them. So even if you opened a Mateo the Matchless, there would not be 7 copies. There are only going to be 6 copies, period. Okay, so extras. Let's talk extras because that's really why I'm here. Extras exist for 2010, Stardust Divinity. I don't know why Grizzly is not in there. It exists for 2012, which is Landia, I think. And then 12 is Legendary Dragon. So it's 11, which is Landia and Queen Nira. 12, which is Dragon and Magician. You've got 13, which is Pit Boss and Grandopolis. And then you've got 19, the Sky Castle of the Black Forest. Those are the prizes that there are extras of. So Stardust, Castle, and then 2, 4, 6 on top of that. So there should be 8 different extras that you can own. Promos, whatever. Call it whatever you want. I don't care. Just don't call them prizes, right? Because again, we know that all of the prizes that were actual prizes were released in a lucite case, except for the ones that don't have extras. So again, it doesn't matter. Right? It's irrelevant. So 2010, 11, 12, 13, and 19. Those are the ones you can own that are extras. We don't know how many there are. Nobody can tell me how many there are. I've heard different numbers. Like, there are good estimates. People have an estimate for how many there are. It depends. Like, there's between 5 and 6 of each. Magician, there's probably like over 10, maybe even more than 15. We don't really know how many were released. Dragon, you see, much less than Magician. Magician, you see far more than any other copy of any card. Magician and Pit Boss, you see the most. I've seen the most. I have actually held a Pit Boss in my hand, and I got it graded for a friend. So, like, to all the people who said, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Trust me, dude, I've done the work, okay? I've spent the better part of a year trying to figure this shit out, and it's complicated. Trust me when I tell you, it is hard to understand. You don't know which ones are which. You got to talk to a lot of people, and it's all stuck in here. It's all stuck in these people's heads, man. And if you don't talk to them, you'll never figure it out. It's not on the internet, and you can't Google it. It doesn't exist. So we know that in 2003 through 2009, there are no extras made. None. It doesn't matter. So the black cases, you can open them. Doesn't make the population higher. For 2010, 11, 12, and 13, there are extras. Anywhere between 5 and 10, there's at least 5 Stardust Divinities out there. At least. That's probably the coolest one that's out there. Again, why there's no Grizzly, I have no idea. No, and here's the real problem. We don't have provenance on this stuff, right? Like, the ambiguous, it went to an executive. What does that mean? Like, was the card stolen? Like, we don't know. Like, do we think they're stolen? We don't think they're stolen. But do we know that they're not stolen? We don't know that we're not stolen. We don't know who they went to. There's no email chains. There's no custody. Nobody knows where they come from. So, I mean, when PSA says that they don't want to grade them, it's because they don't know where the hell they come from, right? So, like, of course PSA doesn't want to grade them. We don't know that they're not stolen. We can't prove it. Because people have this ambiguous, I don't know where they came from, but I'm pretty sure it went to an executive. What does that mean? Doesn't mean anything. All right, 2016 is the only year that there are prizes released in like a case. But again, there's no extras. So one of the pitfalls, like the logical pitfalls that you fall for, with people will say, what about YCS? What about? Hey, the whataboutisms don't work. They're logical fallacies. It's built to distract you from the fact that you're right. WCPS cards are quantifiably extras if they're not in a case. Let's explore. We'll explore it, right? What about YCSW? What about Shonen Jump? What about the extras that come out with other cards? Are there extras for Cyberstein? Of course there are, man. Look, nobody here is arguing me. I'm not arguing that there aren't extras for other cards out there. The problem that we have with other cards that have extras for other prizes like YCSW, SJCS, T0, T1, T2, 3, like it doesn't matter. Like all of those other ones, all the cards were released because they were playable. Think about that for a second. They were playable. You could play them in a tournament. WCPS cards, like all those prizes, are match winners. They cannot be played. It says on the card, you cannot play this card in a duel. Okay? So why would they release the card raw? You can't play it. It doesn't make any sense. So of course they're not playable, right? All the other ones were meant to be played. Cyberstein, Crush Card Virus, Gold Sarcophagus, Des Volscath, Doom Caliber, Minerva, right? Like all of those Dark Lords, like all of those cards, Blood Mayfist, they're meant to be played, and they work tremendously well in many decks. Very playable when they came out, most of them, or later, or whatever. So they released them raw so people could beat them up in their decks, so they could play, so people could run 3 Crush Card Viruses in their, championship deck or whatever the hell. Like that's why they're released raw. And so the fact that they're released raw means that we can't differentiate between which ones are extras and which ones are not. So there's no threat, right, that any one of them can be like, heck, you hold it up and Konami be like, yeah, it's a Cyberstein. Maybe it's an extra, maybe it isn't. They can't quantify it. If I hold up an extra WCPS card, it is an extra. It is an extra. And the provenance is problematic. Do you guys see the difference? If you don't see the difference, I'm sorry I couldn't help you. Like I tried to make it as succinct as humanly possible. All right, I'm going to talk for 2 more minutes. I'm going to try and keep this under 10 minutes. All right, why is this a problem? Okay, so granted, Heritage Auctions doesn't know shit about Yu-Gi-Oh! I got it. Like, who the hell is working Yu-Gi-Oh! For them? Not a guy who knows a whole lot about Yu-Gi-Oh! Hey, I mean, it is what it is. WCPS cards are hard to figure out. They are. So when Heritage Auctions released these cards, right, when they released the cards and they put them up onto auction them, because there were 3, I think. It was Pit Boss and at least the Skyfaring Castle. Those 2, they were listed as the prize card. They're not the prize card. Guaranteed. Guaranteed they are not the prize card. There are 9 Skyfaring Castles, and that card is none of those 9. It isn't. There are 9 in sealed cases, and that's not one of them. So is it the prize card? It is not the prize card. It's not. It can't be. It's not possible. No matter how you phrase it, it is not a prize card because it was never a prize given to somebody for something they won in a tournament. Never. Never, and it can never be. I am sorry. That doesn't mean that they're not cool. That doesn't mean they're not worth a lot. That doesn't mean that they're not collectible. It's not a prize card. It's a promo. So it is what it is. Like, hey, if you don't like it, you might be a symptom of a larger problem in the community. This is the truth. That's it. There's no like ifs, ands, or buts. That doesn't mean that they're not cool or collectible. You can collect all 10 that you can own, right? Kinglandia, Nira, Stardust Divinity, Magician, Dragon, Pit Boss, Grandopolis, and Skyfaring Castle. That's 8, sorry. You can collect 8. I think there's 8. So if I'm missing one, I'm sorry. But I guarantee you that all of them are extras. They are. I mean, hey, it is what it is, right? So anyways, I came here to put that out there because I think that as a community, we need to tighten our shot group a little bit so that when Heritage Auction puts some stuff up like that and says, hey, this is the prize card, like we look at that and say, this is not the prize card, man. Like whoever that guy talked to, and he may have not talked to anybody, did him wrong if he talked to anybody in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. If somebody went there and said, this is the prize card, man, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. It's not the prize card. And I have talked to people who own those cards and they're like, look at this. It's 1 of 6. It's not. It's not 1 of 6. It's like 1 of 5 or 10. And if you add it to the actual prize cards, it's like 1 of 16 or 20 or whatever. So like consider that it matters to people, right? So that's like why we were mad that PSA didn't put 2010 on the reprint cards that they graded because, hey, this came out of a recent pack. We want to make sure that things are collectible. Like, yes, that matters for the same reason that this matters. I hope that's fair. All right, I'm going to wrap it up because 10 minutes, it's like 10:20 right now. So, hey, I hope you liked the video, and I'm going to try and make another one tomorrow and release it. Take care.